Hello, creative art friends. Welcome to this video where I am doing a greeting card for Valentine's Day. I am right in the middle of working on my spring art collection. It's all watercolor. If you've been on my Instagram, you've probably seen it. There's a color palette, there's a vibe. I'm loving it. I'm having a lot of fun. And then I was delivering some cards to one of the stores that carries my products, and they said, do you have any new Valentine's cards coming up? And I thought, I didn't actually think of that. So I designed this one for this year and they liked it, and it's already in stores if you're interested. It's at Inkwell and it's on my online shop as well. So you can check that out if you want to get ahead. I'm posting this late January, so there's time if you wanted to get a Valentine's card from me. I digress. I'm going to talk to you about my method, how I turn a watercolor drawing into a greeting card. It's pretty straightforward. The step that I'm starting with here, this is watercolor paper I have done a sketch on. That red pencil at the top of the page is my favorite go-to tool right now for doing watercolor paintings because that is what I'm sketching with. I used a kneaded eraser, which is what you just saw me doing, to press on top of it to lighten up those lines. You can barely see it in the video, but there are two geese and a heart on this page, and now they are very, very faint. So that is sort of how I make my guidelines for painting my little watercolor drawings in without it being too dark or, I don't know, too visible. I'm just speeding up the video here because you don't need to watch me paint in real time. This took maybe an hour, I think, to paint this card. And I won't go over too detailed about my watercolor methods, but in terms of materials that I use, this is on regular cellulose-based watercolor paper. It's not fancy paper. I typically do most of my paintings on cotton rag, which I prefer, which is what I'm referring to as fancy paper because it's more expensive. But for this card, I'm just really liking this block I have of this size paper. So that's what I did it on. The paints are a mix of different brands. They are all here in my palette. I actually just am trying out this palette. I filmed myself doing a depotting video, so maybe I'll put that in another vlog or something soon. But I'm really liking this palette and the colors I've picked that I'm using lately. Titanium Buff is the color I'm using for the white here, and I've actually made two mixes of it. One with sienna and one with ochre? I'm not sure, I can't remember. Sepia, that's the other one. Yeah, so those are the colors I'm using. The brushes are Dynasty brushes, which are my favorite. I think that's all the materials. So I'm doing very flat dimensional, one-dimensional paintings these days, so there's not a lot of complicated technique here except working pretty quickly so the colors don't dry too much and make harsh lines. And I am going to be doing some outlining with the paint as well. You'll see as this paint progresses. You don't need me to talk through the exact technique. Oh, that was me shuffling through to see another goose I painted lately to remember what colors I used for the legs. Now, after I finish the painting, which will be in just a minute or two here, because I did speed it up quite a lot in kind of some parts, I put it into my scanner. Well, at first I wait for it to be totally dry. Don't make that mistake. Make sure it's totally dry before you put it in your scanner. Trust me. And then I just scan it to my computer. The scanner that I use is what's attached to my printer. So it's my Epson EcoTank ET2400. But I think any typical scanner would work fine. Most scanners at home are pretty good now. I scan at 600 DPI just because I'm extra, unless we give me the choice. So I scan it as a PNG as well. Once that is done, I transfer it using AirDrop to my iPad and I open it up in Procreate. And that's going to be the next section of this video. I'll just show you how I clean up the watercolors in Procreate, but I wanted to add the details on this card. It didn't have the love aspect, so I put this little ribbon around both of their necks, which I thought was really charming and cute, that they're kind of bound together by this red thread. That's a romantic thing, right? And also, I just put it on both because I didn't want this to be I'm not gendering these geese. They could be in love or whatever. They could be whomever. So I just thought this was nice and symmetrical and universal. Not sure about the pose I did. I meant for them to look like they were just kind of floating in space, but it kind of looks like they were kind of flopped on land. I'm not really sure, but I still think it's cute. And I think the heart is a cute addition. Brings in the red. I don't know. I really like this card. I think it's funny, but it's because I'm also really into geese right now. Yeah, so this is my Love Geese card. I hope you like it too. And yeah, anytime I go in to add more details, I usually do it in the red pencil first, just to make sure that I'm clear on where I'm going to go. These paintings I've been doing lately are so detailed that I'm just very shocked I don't make more mistakes than I do, but I think that is truly a practice thing. So here is the image in Procreate. I'll just talk through my process here of what I do once I have this design in Procreate. I make a duplicate of the design and turn it off just as like a safety layer. I don't know, it's just my habit. Then I will turn off the background and use the selection tool and just outline the whole thing. I'm just trying to trim off all the white space I can, because basically the main thing I'm doing here in Procreate is removing the white background by hand. I know there are automated tools you can use to do that. That is fine if you choose it. I like both the practice of doing it by hand, and also I think it lets you be more precise and fix little issues, and I just like it a lot. So once I have selected that, I split the layers. What is it? Cut and paste. It's freezing for some reason. There it goes. And then I just delete the layer that has the extra. So there is like the selected. Wow, you can really see my face reflected in this in the iPad. Okay, don't look at that too much. The brush I use in the eraser is under Airbrush. This is ones that come with Procreate. Airbrush, and I go medium. The medium brush? Yeah, it's like the medium hard one. It's got a little bit fuzzy edges, and I just go in and, like what you see me doing, I'm just erasing it bit by bit. I understand that some people might look at this and go, oh, super inefficient, it takes so long. Yeah, it's art, and that's the way I do it. It's slow. But you can see how I'm able to be very precise. Some of the areas have thicker lines, some don't. Like this little runoff here, I can decide if I want to erase it and make it look like I didn't go outside the line, or I can leave it so it looks more natural. I chose to erase it. But the soft edge of this brush, even it's like a medium hard brush, just means that when it is then on a white background, when I'm doing the card design part or making a print, it is much more seamless a transition. Harsh lines tend to happen when you use like an auto background eraser tool, and I find that it's more easy to clock where the background's been removed if you use something like that. This is my rationale for doing it this way. I also just like it. This is an activity that typically I will not do sitting here at my desk with a hard chair. I will be on my couch watching TV and doing this. So it's kind of a nice evening activity. That's just me. I'm also not doing this too much. This is only for designs that don't have a background or whatever. You can also use this opportunity to touch up the designs. I don't think I did any touch-ups on this, but sometimes I will, especially if there's large patches of black. Like I did one with some butterflies recently, and like the monarch had sections of black, and I just found that once it scanned, it was just a little patchy. So I used a watercolor brush from my own brush set that I designed, and I just went over the black in Procreate. It just looked a little better when it printed. Anyways, I'll speed this up because yeah, it's a bit of a long process because there's a lot of edges. Right here, you'll see me do a little bit of touch up just on the top of the goose leg where I kind of missed connecting it fully, but I'm just selecting colors that are nearby, mushing them around a little bit, using my watercolor brushes, and it looks fine. Like when you zoom out, especially on these tiny details, you definitely can't tell there's been any sort of touch-ups, and that is the goal. I'm sure there's lots of ways to do this, but yeah, it's just like little, I find the issues tend to be between transitions of colors. So here is the cleaned up, edited little drawing. I'm just sending it as a PNG to my computer, and then here it is all printed out. So I'm gonna chop these up in this video. You're just gonna watch me cut this up. I'll tell you how I do the design. I do it in Canva. I open up a new Canva file that is the size of the full greeting card opened up. So there's 2 of them on this page here. I make a border around the whole page for cutting lines with a dashed line. And then on half the page, I do, usually if the front is a full color, the back will be white. If the front has a white background, the back will be a color. And then I do my little sprout cards, logo, business on the back. And then I put the card design on the front. I mean, you can probably put that together. I will then export it as a PNG from Canva. I don't like exporting as PDFs on Canva, so I would go with PNG. And then I print them. When I pull up the print settings, I am doing 2 on a page, so my printer just automatically does that. It sizes them. It shrinks it down to about 97%, which makes the card slightly smaller than it should be, but honestly it's very, very close and it still looks great. So it's worth it to be able to print 2 at a time. And I'm printing these again on my Epson EcoTank 2400. People ask me so many questions about printers. I can only tell you I like this one, and I'm using chrome coat paper, which works pretty well on my printer. Again, this is what works for me. I can't promise it will work for every single printer in the world. This is just what I know. Yeah, so that's my process. And then I will just take a bone folder and crease this and package them up. I hope that was helpful. I have a collection here. These are all the cards I was delivering to the store that day. It was a nice average size restock. And I'm just digging out the goose ones to show you what they look like when they're all packaged. I think they're cute. I sell them in packs of 6, which is typical for greeting cards. So here's 6 of my little gooses. As you can see, I think it turned out very sweet. I think they printed out well. Sometimes you have to play with the brightness or the contrast or the saturation a little bit when it comes to scanning and then printing on white. But for this design, just worked out. I didn't have to do much tinkering with it. I wrapped them in paper just to bundle them by 6s so it's easier for the stores. And that's really it. Then I went off to deliver it on a very snowy, blustery day. So I hope that you found this interesting, maybe useful. I don't know. I didn't have like a chatty video for this week. I just wanted to show you what I've been working on and my process for making cards, because I get a lot of questions about my greeting cards in general. So here's the end of the video. And after this, I went and bought a new journal and had a hot chocolate. So it was a good day. All right, I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.